I wanted to tell you something, and I wanted you to really hear me. That need you have, the need to have everything figured out, every detail managed, every outcome predicted, that won't save you. It won't keep the world from falling apart. I learned that the hard way. My name was Arthur. I was 79 years old when I finally understood what I'd done with my life. 60 years spent building walls around myself, thinking if I just controlled enough, if I just planned enough, organized enough, prepared enough, I'd finally feel safe. What a joke that turned out to be. You know how it starts. You tell yourself, I'll relax when the accounts balance, or I'll breathe when the kids are settled, or I'll rest when the house is paid off. I told myself those things for decades. And you know what happened when the accounts balanced? I found new numbers to worry about. When the kids left home, I worried they weren't calling enough. When the mortgage disappeared, I started counting how many good years my knees might have left. The finish line didn't just move, it multiplied, like weeds. Let me tell you where this sickness came from. I wasn't born this way. Nobody is. When I was 8, my mother had these episodes. Not dramatic, not violent, just absence. She'd sit at the kitchen table for hours staring at nothing. Dishes piled up, laundry went undone, the house smelled like forgotten food. My father, he left when I was 6, just gone, no note. So it was me and her in that slowly decaying house, and I became the adult at 8. I made my own lunches. I reminded her to pay bills. I learned to read her face. If her eyes were glassy, don't ask for anything. If she was humming, maybe it was safe to speak. And somewhere in that quiet chaos, I made a promise to myself. Never again. Never again would I live in a world I couldn't control. Never again would I be at the mercy of someone else's unraveling. So I built systems. Oh God, the systems. Calendars color-coded down to 15-minute blocks. Emergency funds for emergencies that never came. Rules for my desk, my diet, my conversations. I became precise. People called me reliable, dependable. They didn't see the terror underneath. They didn't know I was just a scared boy building a fortress out of spreadsheets. I became an architect. Fitting, right? I designed buildings where every beam had its purpose, every angle served a function, no wasted space, no surprises. My colleagues admired my precision. Clients trusted me because my blueprints had contingencies for contingencies. But my buildings, they were correct. They were never beautiful. Nobody ever stood in one of my lobbies and felt their breath catch. They just functioned efficiently, like me. I married Clara when I was 34. She was chaos in the best way. Paint under her nails, books stacked on the floor, laughter that came too easily. She thought my orderliness was charming at first. You're so grounded, she'd say, but order isn't grounding, it's a cage. And I built one for her without realizing it. I'd rearrange her paintbrushes by size. I'd schedule our spontaneous weekends. I'd correct her when she misremembered a date, not maliciously, never maliciously, just tidying the world, making it safe. She left me when I was 52, sat me down at our perfectly set kitchen table, the placemats aligned, the salt and pepper centered, and said, Arthur, living with you is like living in a museum. Everything's in its place, nothing's alive. I didn't understand. I'd provided stability, security. I'd kept the lights on, the roof intact. What more did she want? She looked at me, really looked, and said, I don't want a curator. I want a husband. I had no idea what she meant. Not then. My son barely spoke to me for 10 years after that. He'd call on birthdays, conversations stiff as starched collars. How's work? Fine. Weather's nice. Yes. We'd run out of words in 90 seconds because I'd spent his childhood correcting his posture, his grades, his friends, not seeing him, just managing the project of him. My daughter visited less often. She'd bring her children, and I'd watch them from the doorway, afraid to touch anything, lest I disrupt their energy. They called me Grandpa the Ghost. I heard them whisper it once, didn't correct them. They weren't wrong. Here's what nobody tells you about control. It's lonely at the top of a wall you built yourself. You think you're safe up there. But safety without connection isn't safety. It's isolation wearing a disguise. I spent my 60s surrounded by order. My house was immaculate. My finances flawless. My health metrics optimal. And I was the loneliest man I knew. I'd sit in my silent living room, everything in its place, and feel nothing. Not sadness, not anger. Just absence, like I'd spent 60 years building a house and forgotten to put windows in it. I had friends my age, still do, the ones left. And I noticed something, the ones still clutching their planners, still checking stock prices before bed, still measuring their worth in productivity. They're hollow. My friend Robert, 83, still wakes at 5 a.m. to optimize his day. He hasn't taken a walk without checking his step count in 15 years. He's terrified of spontaneity, terrified of a single unplanned hour. And he's miserable, not dramatically miserable, just thin, like he's been sanded down to nothing over decades of friction against his own rules. But then there was Helen, 81, widowed 10 years, lived in a little apartment with crooked shelves and mismatched mugs. Her hands shook sometimes. She forgot names, and she was luminous. Not happy. Happiness is fleeting, but present. She'd sit on her porch and watch sparrows fight over crumbs like it was the most important thing happening in the world. I asked her once how she did it, how she stayed so unafraid. She smiled this soft, tired smile and said, "Arthur, I stopped trying to hold the river. I just learned to float." I didn't understand then. I do now. The turning point for me, it wasn't dramatic, no heart attack, no grand epiphany. I was 76, sorting old photographs. Of course I was sorting them chronologically by event. And I found one of Clara and me, early on. We were laughing on a blanket somewhere, grass stains on our knees, her hair a mess. And I realized I hadn't been laughing with her in that moment. I'd been laughing at something she said, but part of me was already planning how to get the grass stains out of my trousers. Even in joy I was managing. Even in love I was keeping score, and something in me just broke. Not loudly, quietly, like a shelf giving way under too much weight. I spent the next year unlearning. Not easily. God, not easily. I left a dish in the sink overnight. I walked without checking the weather app. I called my son and didn't have an agenda, just said, "I was thinking of you." He was suspicious at first, thought I wanted money, but I kept calling, just to hear his voice. Slowly, the stiffness between us softened, not fixed, never fixed, but softened, like scar tissue. My daughter brought her kids over one Saturday. They spilled juice on my rug, the one I'd had cleaned quarterly for 20 years, and I I didn't say anything. I just got a towel. And my granddaughter looked at me, really looked, and said, "Grandpa, you're different." I asked how. She shrugged. "You feel here." And I realized I was. For the first time in 60 years, I was actually in the room, not managing it, not preparing for the next moment, just there, with juice on the rug and a child's hand in mine. Here's the truth I want to give you, the thing that took me 60 years to learn. Safety isn't the absence of chaos. Safety is the ability to stand in the middle of chaos and know you'll be okay. You don't build that with systems. You build it with practice, with small acts of surrender, letting the dish sit, missing the train, saying, "I don't know," instead of pretending you do. Every time you choose presence over control, you're rewiring a lifetime of fear. And that feeling you're chasing, the one you think control will give you, it's not safety, it's worthiness. You think if you just get everything right, you'll finally feel like you belong here, like you deserve to take up space. But worthiness isn't earned through perfect management. It's not a reward for flawless execution. It's your birthright. You had it at 8 years old, sitting in that messy kitchen with your unraveling mother. You have it now, reading these words. You don't need to prove it. You just need to stop denying it. I'm 79 now. My hands shake sometimes too. I forget where I put my glasses. And you know what? I don't care. The house isn't perfect. The accounts aren't balanced to the penny. And I've never felt more solid. Not because everything's under control, it's not. The world is still chaotic. People still leave. Bodies still fail. But I'm not fighting it anymore. I'm in it, with it, part of it. Young people think freedom is having options, having choices, having everything arranged just so. But real freedom is not needing the world to be a certain way to feel okay. It's the quiet certainty that you can handle whatever comes, not because you've planned for it, but because you've stopped believing you need to. So here's what I want you to take from my 60 years of wasted effort. Stop building walls. Stop managing the unmanageable. Stop postponing your life until everything's figured out. It never will be. The chaos isn't coming. It's already here. And it's beautiful. And it's terrifying. And it's yours to live in, not to control. You were enough when you were 8 years old, trying to hold your mother together. You were enough yesterday. You are enough right now, with your messy desk and your uncertain future and your heart that's still beating despite everything. You don't need to earn it. You just need to accept it. I spent 60 years trying to build a world safe enough to live in. Turns out the only safety was in stopping the building, in stepping outside the walls, in letting the wind hit my face. Cold, unpredictable, alive. If this meant something to you, share it with someone who's exhausting themselves trying to hold back the tide. And ask yourself, what's the one small thing you could stop controlling today? Just one. Not to be perfect, just to feel the air on your skin again.